Okay, following up on a little idea that I admit I'm kind of absconding with from a mention in one of Rosetta Allen's live streams about going to do a thing about what if I was in charge of he mentioned something like Black Plastic Man or whatever. I think, hey, there's something to be mined here. So starting off with, if I was in charge of Star Trek, this is pretty much easy thing. I've said a lot of this before, but just to clarify. Okay, if I was in charge of, let's say, the Roddenberry's taking, okay, this is the guy in charge, and they point to me. All right. First things first. Make it very clear in no uncertain terms that all the Kurtzman stuff is an alternate timeline. Just to get it out of the way, so you can also leave. You guys like this, fine. Those who don't, you can ignore it. It doesn't count. And that on that list, I would include obviously Discovery, Picard, because they've also hooked themselves to that horse. Starting with that hologram of the JJ Prize hanging overhead and being displayed overhead in Starfleet headquarters, and just the general idiocy of the whole plot line and just the portrayal of Starfleet. It's much more in line with what we saw in Discovery than anything we saw from Next Generation. And if Patrick Stewart's got a problem with that, sorry, you're not the one in charge. I am. Now, the only exception to what everything is Lower Decks, because sorry, detractors, but Lower Decks does not violate canon. It reinforces it a lot of times. It builds upon it somewhat. I mean, who'd have thought they'd actually make a credible threat out of the Packlets? But they haven't violated a thing. And they figure sooner or later, this scavenger race always looking to make me more powerful. They're going to get dangerous at some point. And they really, better keep an eye on them. And they've really done a good job with that, because everything is still very consistent with the established Star Trek. They're taking a comedic bent to it. And I know that still rubs people the wrong way. And I think that's a case of we've gotten a little too precious in defending Star Trek against all attackers. This isn't an attack. This is having fun with it and kind of showing what we all got attached to it in the first place. So I think we do need to lighten up a little bit and take it. Okay. Now, yeah, and I also this would probably go down a lot better if there was a serious, legitimate Star Trek show or series to go with this. But as it is, this is the only representation we've got. And as such, it probably is, not going over that well. And again, it's coming out in the midst of Discovery and Picard and Strange New Worlds. It's like it may not suck as badly, but it's still not going to be proper Star Trek because they're not, I'm sorry, but it's only a visual reboot. A visual reboot is still a reboot. Okay, you change the look of the thing, you're changing the thing. Especially when you're bloating the Enterprise out to like twice the size of the in the original series. I don't care what you think about whether that ship was big enough or not. That's the size. Okay, it's pretty well established how big that ship was, how it looked, what the uniforms looked like, what the technology was. You want to change the look of it, you change it in the details. You change it in stuff we wouldn't necessarily have seen on screen at the time. You don't change the whole damn thing. And it's like, well, that's it. Just to change it. We can change it with what? No, you can't. Okay. It's like, you may have the legal right to declare whatever you want, but the thing is, we also have the right to reject it. We don't have to accept this crap. We don't, and that's what's going on here. In that, no, we ain't buying your line of bull. Yeah. So, and then following up after declaring, okay, the JJ stuff and the Abrams stuff doesn't count. You can ignore it. And then follow right up with declaring Star Trek Continues, Vic Mignogna's fan films, as canon. And they are officially declaring the 5th season of the original series. 4th season being animated series. Animated series is already basically canon. They just haven't made a big official announcement of it. But if you think about it, the reference has been eking in ever since they finally did their, working things out with Filmation. And you started seeing the references slipping into DS9, and I don't know if Voyager got any, but they had any Enterprise, and of course also the just the discussion on the extras in the DVD set with David Gerrold saying, it's discussion about whether or not it's canon. Look, it was executive produced by Gene Roddenberry, had produced by Dorothy Fontana. You had almost the entire voice cast there. You had writers from the original series coming. It's canon, okay? It's as canon as you're going to get. That's pretty much the nail of it right there. It's and I do buy the whole thing that the reason why it was not canon it wasn't not canon. It was off limits to writers because there were legal issues at the time that had to be dealt with, specifically with because of Filmation, and also the fact that it wasn't determined how much control they had over that because Paramount didn't produce the original series. They distributed it, or the animated series. They didn't. They distributed it. They didn't produce it. Filmation produced it. So there was that, and Filmation was in the process of kind of, I don't know, because they were doing He-Man at that point, but they were scaling back a bit. But I think that's also very big why they couldn't do anything with, because Filmation was still the force to be dealt with. Once they finally shut down, I think things finally picked up, and okay, fine, we'll make a deal. But okay, so we got Kurtzman and JJ clearly off to the side, with the exception of Lower Decks. It's a marriage of convenience. That's the only reason Kurtzman's name on there. If you know what to look for, they actually take pot shots at Discovery all the time on that show. And again, they play into what has been established. It is not a dumb show. It is not. They are very smartly playing this. But they But like with the one with Mugatu Gamata, it wraps up the situation by playing the Ferengi the way you should be playing the Ferengi. Hit them on their profit side. Come off, they're a bunch of mean poachers, but they hit them where we have a much more profitable way for you to do this, and that is why you appeal to them. You offer them a better alternative that is more profitable, and it made sense, and it worked. And the comment from what are they doing? They're saving their asses with the power of math. That was a direct shot at Discovery. If you don't recognize that for what it is, I'm sorry, I can't help you. No. And then from that point on, and again, Strange New World, it's going to be the same lump as Discovery and Picard because they're not coming close to it. Prodigy is going to have to tread very carefully not to get thrown in with the other ones. Because they've already come, oh yeah, we're in the Prime universe. Okay, first also differentiate Prime from canon. As others are saying, the Prime universe is not the canon universe. Prime universe is the term may have originated before JJ, but JJ latched onto that. And he's one that, it's Prime. No, it ain't. Okay. Maybe Prime is not canon. That's where I draw the line. And people think that you can't change canon. Canon is established. Canon is the official record. That's what it means. This is the established, officially recognized record. And that is the original series, the animated, the animated series, the movies, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. That's the canon. Enterprise takes some tweaking here and there, but it can be done. But it is canon, whether you like it or not, because it was established by Roddenberry or the people Roddenberry appointed to do it, and they built upon it. They did not violate it any more than they've either through occasional mismanagement or they bend a few corners here and there, but no actual breaking things. And it's also one of the ways you tweak things in that situation is you don't take every word out of the character's mouth as holy writ either. They're allowed to make mistakes too, because in the DS9 episode, Dr. Bashir, I presume, where it's revealed that Bashir is actually they did some rather illegal genetic manipulation that had been banned since the eugenics wars. And one of the guys mentioned that 200 years ago, that was an honest mistake on Ron Moore's part because at the time he wrote it, he had Khan's line in Wrath of Khan 200 years ago, and he forgot to add the extra 100 years since then to DS9's time. So that was a goof. And people misspeak all the time, so you can say it's a goof. And just say, okay, he made a mistake, we'll move on. It's not going to change the record. Kurtzman and his merry band of morons, and JJ and his band, which Kurtzman's a part of, they didn't have that authority. They don't have that moral authority. They may have the legal right to do what they want, but no, we can look at it and say, nah, not buying it. So what do we do afterwards? Okay, it's, you don't leave the only new addition to establish canon as Lower Decks. No. I think next thing is you do a 5th season of Enterprise, wrap up that story. And to account for the fact that it's been, 15 years, 20, 15, 16 years since the end of Enterprise, the Romulan War is now over and we're picking up the pieces. That'll leave the war itself kind of interesting. That way you leave yourself open to do occasional war stories back in the time, but you're not locking yourself in. But have, where you see a refit NX-01 with all the secondary hull and also show Trucker alive and well so you can finally bump out, these are the voyages. That's the one episode where he's right. Nah, didn't happen. That was a bad holodeck program. Riker got bad info. It doesn't even fit within the confines of trying to fit in the Pegasus. What they should have done is Riker doing a little soul searching over whether or not to accept the command of the Titan. That would have been a better analogy. And now, so we'll left you wide open. You're not trying to fit it inside an established episode. And you also take into account that Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis have visibly aged since the Pegasus. Yeah. So that was a mistake right there. And besides just the whole episode, basically they're wrapping up Enterprise where everyone's a guest star on a Next Generation episode. That didn't sit well with anybody. But you bring in a 5th season and if you go on beyond that, fine. You have a 6th and 7th, and give them their 7 seasons, And from there, you just, you start building, maybe bring back DS9. They've already broken down the first story for season 8. It's on video. They can pick up from there and tweak it here and there, just for the fact that Aaron Eisenberg and Rene Auberjonois are no longer with us. I think Odo wasn't there anyway. He's off with the founders, so I don't know if they would have brought him in anyway. But for the quick thing, you can find a lookalike and sound like to put in there as an Aug. He's gonna make it back to the station anyway in that story. But you bring back Ira Bear and Ron Warnell, and you pick up DS9, and then with the return, with the whole thing there, Return to Cisco, and you got a pretty damn tantalizing story laid out right there, and they were just picking up like they left off, and boom. And from there, you get the band back together. Everyone's had time off to do other things, and okay, time to get back to doing Star Trek and set these as right, and you bring up new talent through that system. You don't just throw everyone out and bring in some guys who've never done it before and say, do it. Because they don't have a freaking clue what they're doing. And that's true with a lot of these things I'm going to address here in this little series. But that's pretty much it. You get rid of the idiots who don't know what they're doing, or at least cord them off to where they can't do any more damage. Bring back established writers and producers who know what they're doing with Star Trek. But Star Trek is a very specialized thing. You can't just bring in sci-fi, because within it's a subgenre within sci-fi, really. It's got its own rules and its own history and its own canon. And you got to follow those, or we'll have a few million guys like me screaming from the sidelines saying you missed it on that one, and you screwed up here, and that this person shouldn't be here, and yada yada yada. But that's how you set Star Trek straight. So let's move on to Star Wars.